Hello everyone, and welcome to my Young and the Restless official 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. The screen flickered as a chilling video began circulating across Genoa City, spreading like wildfire from phone to phone. The headline screamed, "Noah Newman speaks after waking up, the truth will destroy the Newmans forever." For weeks, Sharon had prayed, pleaded, and bargained with fate for her son to open his eyes, and now that he had, the words that came out of Noah's mouth would alter everything. Inside his hospital room, as the machines hummed and the rain poured outside, Noah's weak but steady voice trembled as he whispered something that would shake the Newman empire to its core. "Mom, it wasn't an accident." Victor, he knew. Sharon froze, her heartbeat pounding like thunder in her ears. Victor Newman, her former father-in-law, the family's iron-fisted patriarch, had been guarding secrets for decades, but this one? This one had blood dripping from it. Noah's confession opened a Pandora's box of betrayals buried beneath layers of family loyalty and business greed. As Noah gasped for air, clutching Sharon's hand, he revealed a cryptic detail that sent chills down her spine, a name, barely audible, Holden. He wasn't supposed to die, but Holden made sure he did, Noah muttered before slipping back into a dizzy haze. Sharon screamed for the nurse, her tears falling as she tried to make sense of her son's rambling. Holden McLean, Victor's trusted enforcer and longtime corporate fixer, had been at the scene of Noah's accident. But why? What did Victor have to do with it? Sharon couldn't rest until she found answers. Meanwhile, Victor Newman sat in his study at the ranch, staring at a whiskey glass, the weight of decades pressing on his chest. The video of Noah's awakening had already reached him through Adam, who stood tensely by the door. "You knew this day would come, didn't you, old man?" Adam said, voice dripping with both contempt and fascination. Victor shot him a glare sharp enough to slice through glass. "Don't you dare talk to me like that," Victor hissed, but Adam only smirked. "If Noah knows the truth about Holden and the crash, you're finished. The whole world will finally see what kind of man you really are." But Victor's silence spoke louder than any denial. Deep down, Adam suspected his father had orchestrated something far darker than a mere cover-up. And if Noah's words were true, if Victor had known about Holden's involvement, then the blood on Victor's hands ran thicker than anyone could imagine. Sharon's desperation turned into obsession. She spent sleepless nights combing through old files, hospital reports, and phone records. The deeper she dug, the clearer it became that Noah's accident had been meticulously planned. Surveillance footage from that night had mysteriously disappeared. Witnesses who once spoke out had gone silent, or worse, vanished. It was as if someone had erased the truth from existence. Sharon began piecing together a chilling theory. Holden had been acting under orders, but whose? And why would Victor, of all people, hide the truth about his own grandson's near-death experience? The answer might have been too horrifying for her to face, but Sharon had never been the type to turn away from danger. As Sharon's investigation deepened, she turned to Nick for help, but his response only raised more suspicion. "Mom, stop this before you get hurt," Nick warned, his eyes clouded with dread. "Dad's not the villain you think he is." Sharon, shaking with anger, fired back, "Then what is he, Nick?" "Because every piece of evidence I find points back to him." She could see the conflict tearing through her son, torn between protecting his father and seeking justice for his brother. When Sharon mentioned confronting Holden directly, Nick's tone shifted. "Don't. Please. If Holden feels cornered, he'll come after you." But it was too late. Sharon had already arranged to meet Holden at an abandoned construction site on the edge of town, the same place Noah's car had been found. The night was thick with fog as Sharon pulled up, her flashlight trembling in her grip. The air smelled of rust and gasoline, the echoes of that fatal crash still haunting the site. "Holden," she called out. Silence. Then, a shadow moved in the distance, slow and deliberate. "You should have stayed out of this, Sharon," came Holden's cold voice from the darkness. Victor didn't want this to go any further. Sharon's breath caught in her throat. "So it's true," she whispered. You sabotaged Noah's car, and Victor covered it up. Holden stepped forward, his eyes gleaming under the dim light. He thought it would be quick, a warning to keep Noah from leaking what he found. He didn't mean for him to die. The revelation hit Sharon like a blow. Noah had uncovered something, a secret so devastating that Victor had ordered his own enforcer to silence him. Before Sharon could process the horror, Holden lunged forward, grabbing her arm. "I can't let you talk," he growled. Sharon fought back, her scream echoing into the night. In a struggle that felt both eternal and fleeting, she managed to strike him with a broken pipe, fleeing into the woods as sirens wailed in the distance. But Holden wasn't finished. He chased her, his steps heavy, predatory. The predator the police had been hunting, the same shadowy figure responsible for multiple attacks in Genoa City, was Holden himself. Sharon was now his next target. Back at the hospital, Noah stirred again, sensing his mother's peril. "Mom, he's coming for her," he murmured weakly. Adam, who had stayed behind to keep watch, leaned closer. "Who, Noah? Who's coming?" Noah's eyes fluttered open, his voice breaking. "Holden. The predator. Tell Mom, don't trust Victor." Adam's pulse quickened. He knew Sharon was in danger, but part of him hesitated. Helping her meant going against Victor, and that was never without consequence. Still, Adam's humanity, buried deep beneath years of rivalry, won out. He grabbed his coat and sped toward the construction site, determined to save Sharon before it was too late. Meanwhile, Victor received a chilling call from Holden. "She knows everything," Holden said. "You want me to handle it?" Victor's silence stretched long before he finally muttered, "No. No more blood." But it was too late, Holden had already made his move. Victor slammed his glass on the table, shards scattering across the floor. "Damn it, Sharon," he whispered. Nikki, overhearing from the hallway, stepped in, her face pale. "Victor, what have you done?" she asked, trembling. He looked at her with haunted eyes. "Something I can't undo. Something that may destroy this family." As Sharon stumbled through the woods, bruised and terrified, she dialed Nick's number, but the signal cut out. The wind howled like a banshee, masking Holden's footsteps as he closed in. "You can't hide, Sharon," his voice taunted from the shadows. She ducked behind a fallen log, clutching her phone to her chest, praying for a miracle. Then, headlights pierced through the fog, Adam's car. "Sharon," he yelled, running toward her. Holden emerged behind her with a knife, but before he could strike, Adam tackled him to the ground. A violent struggle ensued, raw and desperate. Holden slashed Adam's arm, but Adam retaliated with a punch that sent Holden sprawling. Sharon grabbed a nearby rock and struck Holden across the head. He collapsed, unconscious, as police sirens neared. In the aftermath, Sharon sat trembling under a blanket, her face pale but defiant. "He was going to kill me," she whispered. And Victor, he knew. Detective Chance arrived, notebook in hand, glancing between Adam and Sharon. "You both need to come to the station. There's something you need to see." When they arrived, Chance played a newly recovered surveillance video, footage from Victor's office the night of Noah's crash. In it, Victor could be heard telling Holden, "Make sure the boy stays quiet. We can't let him destroy everything we built." Sharon's heart shattered. "He did this, he ordered it." Adam clenched his fists. "He's not a man, he's a monster." News of Victor's involvement exploded across the media. The powerful Newman patriarch, long revered and feared, was now facing public disgrace. The family fractured overnight, Nick torn between loyalty and fury, Victoria demanding the truth, and Nikki spiraling into heartbreak. "How could you do this, Victor?" she cried. "To your own grandson?" But Victor's face was a mask of regret. "I was trying to protect this family," he insisted, though the words rang hollow. The empire he built on power and control was collapsing, brick by brick, under the weight of his darkest secret. Sharon, meanwhile, refused to rest. "Holden may be in custody," she told Adam, "but there's still someone else out there, The one who gave him the order to finish the job after Noah woke up. Adam frowned. You think Victor wasn't acting alone? Sharon nodded. This goes deeper. Someone else wanted Noah dead, and I'm going to find them. The predator had been caught, but the puppet master was still lurking in the shadows, watching, waiting for the perfect moment to strike again. Late that night, as Sharon sat by Noah's bedside, he opened his eyes once more. Mom, he whispered, there's more you don't know. Sharon leaned in, fear and hope warring in her chest. What do you mean? Noah's lips trembled as he forced out the words. It wasn't just Victor. There's a woman, she's behind it all. His pulse quickened, the monitor beeping wildly. Sharon's breath caught. Who, Noah? Who? His eyes flickered open one last time before fading again, his voice barely audible, Sienna. The revelation sent a chill that no light could warm. The nightmare wasn't over, it had only just begun. And as the credits metaphorically rolled on the chaos of Genoa City, one truth became undeniable. Victor's secret had been exposed, Sharon's hunt had turned deadly, and now a new predator was waiting in the dark, ready to strike again. The aftermath of Victor's secret exposure rippled across Genoa City like an earthquake. News anchors dissected every angle of the story, pundits debated whether the Newman patriarch's reign of terror was finally over, and former allies turned their backs as his empire teetered on the edge of collapse. But while the world focused on Victor, another force was quietly moving through the shadows, a woman with a motive so personal and venomous that even Victor himself hadn't seen her coming. Her name was whispered like a ghost, Sienna Bacall. When Sharon heard Noah's final word before he slipped back into unconsciousness, Sienna, it felt like the air had been sucked out of the room. Sienna Bacall had once been a mysterious figure on the fringes of Newman Enterprises, a consultant Victor hired for a covert marketing operation in Europe. But Sharon had always felt something unsettling about her, the way she watched people, the way she asked too many questions about Noah, and the way she always seemed to know more than she should. Sharon had dismissed it back then, but now? Now it all made horrifying sense. At the ranch, Victor sat alone, his empire collapsing like a sandcastle beneath the tide. The storm outside mirrored the one raging inside his chest. Nikki had left in tears, Nick refused to answer his calls, and Victoria was in the process of dismantling Newman Media to distance herself from the scandal. Only one person had the audacity to visit him that night, and it wasn't family. The doors opened, and in walked Sienna, her long coat dripping rain, her expression calm yet razor-sharp. I told you this day would come, she said, her voice smooth as silk but sharp as a knife. Victor didn't even look up. You, he muttered, his voice low. You were supposed to disappear after Europe. Sienna smirked, stepping closer. You really thought I'd walk away after what you did to my father? That made Victor's head snap up, his eyes narrowing. Your father? He repeated, confusion flickering across his face. Don't play dumb, Victor. You ruined Dr. Adrian Bacall's life. You had him fired, blacklisted, destroyed, just because he discovered something you didn't want the world to know. Victor's expression hardened. He was dangerous, he growled. He was playing with human lives. Sienna's smile turned venomous. He was trying to expose you, she hissed. He found out what you were doing with the experimental treatment, the one you funded through Holden's division. You were using patients as test subjects without consent. My father was going to blow the whistle, and you buried him. Literally. She leaned forward, eyes glinting with hatred. And now, Victor, I've done what he never could. I buried you. Victor's jaw clenched, his fingers trembling around his glass. For once, he looked small, fragile, even. What did you do? He demanded. Sienna chuckled. Let's just say Noah wasn't the only one who found out about your dirty past. But unlike your precious grandson, I don't make mistakes. I planted Holden, I leaked the footage, and I made sure your empire bled from the inside. And now, she paused, letting the silence stretch like a blade. Now, Sharon is next. Victor slammed his hand down on the desk, rage exploding in his chest. You stay away from her, he roared. But Sienna only smiled wider. You should have thought about that before you took everything from me. Sharon's in this because of you. She wants the truth? She'll get it, but not before she pays the same price as my father. With that, Sienna turned and walked out, her heels clicking like gunshots against the marble floor. Back at the hospital, Sharon's nerves were frayed. She couldn't sit still, pacing Noah's room as Adam tried to calm her. Sienna Bacall, Sharon muttered. It all connects. She was working for Victor when Noah's project was leaked. She was around when Holden started shadowing Noah. She's been behind this the whole time. Adam frowned, rubbing his injured arm. Sienna's dangerous. If she's targeting you, you need protection. But Sharon shook her head. No. I'm done hiding. I need to find her before she finishes what she started. Adam sighed. You sound just like me, you know. Always charging into danger. Sharon gave a weak smile. Then maybe it's time you helped me instead of stopping me. Against his better judgment, Adam agreed. He couldn't shake his guilt over Victor's crimes, and helping Sharon was his way of atoning. The two began piecing together Sienna's recent movements, her last known address, her business accounts, her communications with Holden. It didn't take long to uncover a chilling discovery. Sienna had recently rented an abandoned lakeside cabin under a false name, near where Noah's crash had taken place. Sharon's intuition screamed that Sienna was hiding something there. Ignoring Adam's pleas to wait for backup, she drove off alone into the night, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and determination. The lake shimmered under the moonlight, still and eerie, as Sharon parked her car and approached the cabin. Inside, everything was meticulously organized, papers, photographs, and red string connecting names on the wall like a spider's web. At the center of it all was Victor's face, circled in red ink, and beneath it, Noah's. A floorboard creaked. Sharon froze. Looking for something? Sienna's voice purred from behind her. Sharon turned, flashlight trembling in her grip. Why are you doing this, Sienna? She demanded. Noah's innocent. He didn't deserve any of this. Sienna's eyes glimmered with malice. Innocent? His grandfather murdered my father, and Noah was helping Victor cover it up. I tried to warn him to stay away. But he kept digging. So, I made sure he stopped. Sharon's blood ran cold. You caused the crash, she whispered. You're the predator. Sienna smiled, unbothered. That's what they're calling me now, huh? I suppose every hunter gets a name. Before Sharon could react, Sienna lunged forward, knocking the flashlight out of her hand. They struggled violently, crashing into furniture as lightning illuminated the room. Sharon fought back with every ounce of strength, but Sienna was unrelenting. You think you can expose me? She snarled. No one believes you anymore, Sharon. You're the hysterical widow, the unstable mother. Victor made sure of that. Sharon gasped for air as Sienna pinned her down, her fingers tightening around Sharon's throat. Suddenly, the cabin door burst open. Adam stood in the doorway, gun raised. Let her go, he shouted. Sienna hesitated for a moment, eyes darting toward him, then smirked. Of course. But can you shoot me, Adam? You're your father's son, after all. Sharon took the opportunity to grab a nearby glass shard, slashing Sienna's arm. Sienna screamed and bolted through the back door into the woods. Adam helped Sharon to her feet. We need to get out of here, he said urgently, but Sharon shook her head. No. She's not getting away this time. They chased Sienna into the forest, rain pouring down as thunder rumbled overhead. Sienna darted between trees, her silhouette barely visible. Sharon stumbled, breath ragged, but refused to stop. You'll never get the truth. Sienna screamed over the storm. Victor's secret dies with me. Adam fired a warning shot into the air, forcing her to stop. Enough, he shouted. But Sienna only laughed, her voice echoing hauntingly. You think this ends tonight? You think exposing Victor changes what he's done? You're all guilty." Before they could reach her, Sienna vanished into the darkness, leaving only the sound of the wind. When Adam and Sharon returned to the cabin minutes later, the entire place was ablaze, gasoline cans overturned, flames devouring every piece of evidence. Sharon stared in horror. "She torched it," she whispered. "All of it, gone." Adam pulled her back as the fire roared higher. "She's covering her tracks. We need to get out before this thing blows." They barely escaped as the cabin exploded behind them, the blast lighting up the night sky. By morning, Sienna Bacall had vanished without a trace. Police combed the woods but found nothing, no footprints, no blood, no body. It was as if she'd evaporated into thin air. Sharon gave her statement at the station, but even Chance seemed skeptical. "You're saying she admitted to orchestrating Noah's crash and working with Holden?" he asked, scribbling in his notebook. "Do you have any proof?" Sharon's voice trembled. "She burned it. All of it." Chance sighed. "Then right now, all we have is your word, and given your history with Victor," his voice trailed off, and Sharon realized he didn't believe her. Later that day, Adam dropped Sharon off at her house, promising to keep digging. But as Sharon walked inside, something felt off. The door was unlocked. The air was cold. Her picture frames lay shattered on the floor, and the word liar was scrawled across the wall in red paint. Sharon froze, dread washing over her. Then she saw it, a single photo of Noah pinned to the mirror, with a message written underneath, "You can't save him twice." Before she could react, a shadow moved behind her. A cloth clamped over her mouth. Everything went black.